Hello, happy Transfer Tuesday. I'm Kathy, and alongside my husband, we're working towards paying off almost $500,000 in debt while also saving and investing to have a better future for our daughter. Currently, I'm 34 years old, my husband's 36, and our daughter is almost 20 months old, so just over a year and a half. We took on a lot of debt recently, and we would like to get that paid off so that we can lower our monthly expenses and hopefully be less reliant on two full-time jobs. Since my husband and I both work full-time and send our daughter to daycare, daycare is also a pretty big expense, and I would love to stay home a little bit more with my daughter. If you're new to Transfer Tuesday, it's the day of the week where we try to make money moves in a positive direction, either paying off debt or saving and investing. Currently, my family is working on both of those goals. We would like to continue to build our investments so that we're secure in retirement. We have probably combined almost $500,000 saved up in investments, and so we're mostly just contributing the minimum to our investments, which is basically our employer matches. Since last week was a pay week, I'm going to be going over all of our automatic contributions from our paychecks. Most of those are investments, but one of them is a debt that we're repaying. So first, from my paycheck, when I got paid on Friday, the first thing that comes out is my retirement account loan. And so that's one of our debts that we're tackling. I took this out in 2021 to use as a down payment on my house. It is currently still over $33,000. I took out $50,000. I would like to get this paid off this year or early next year if possible. Even though the interest rate is pretty low, it's 4.25%, and I'm paying it back with interest to myself and not a bank or anything. I would like to get this paid back because it keeps me tied to my job. So if I were to ever leave my job or lose my job, then I would have to pay this back immediately, and we currently don't have $33,000 just laying around to pay this back, and that would put us in a really bad situation if we were to lose our jobs, because not only would we have to pay this loan back right away, that would completely deplete our emergency fund as well. So we wouldn't have anything to live off of to pay our other minimums on our debts. So every 2 weeks when I get paid, I pay the minimum $236.22 towards this loan. And so it's been slowly going down over the past few years, but I would like to speed up that process coming soon. And then also with my paycheck, I contribute to my retirement account. Currently, I'm only contributing 4% because that's what my employer matches. When I contribute 4%, they contribute 8%. They do a 200% match on my contribution up to 4%, and then they also do a base contribution. So my contribution is $209.22, and my employer contributes $549.21. So overall, every 2 weeks, between what I contribute, what I pay back towards the loan, and what my employer contributes, it's almost $1,000 contributed to my retirement account every 2 weeks. So that's about $2,000 a month, which is quite a bit, which is probably one of the main reasons why I've been able to contribute so much to my retirement over the years. A lot of that is my employer match. They do a pretty hefty amount. Although previously I had been maxing out my retirement, so contributing about $20,000 a year, but I had to stop that at the beginning of 2024 when I went on maternity leave and took a pay cut because it was unpaid for half of the time when my daughter was born. And then we also had to replace our roof, which was very expensive. So when both of those things occurred, we reduced our retirement contributions to just the employer match. But we're thinking we may increase them again at some point after we've paid off our debts. Although we are feeling pretty comfortable with the amount that we have saved in retirement, and so we may want to not focus on maxing those accounts out and just spending that money to improve our quality of life with some home renovations or maybe some vacations. We actually, as a family, have never taken any vacations besides maybe a night or two of camping. So it would be nice to go out and do some things at some point once we've paid off our debts. Now, also last week, this wasn't an automatic paycheck contribution, but I did have a roundup to my after-tax brokerage account. I use Acorns, and they have this feature where anytime you make a purchase, it rounds up the change of that purchase, and once you hit at least $5, then it contributes that amount to your after-tax brokerage account, your Acorns account. And so last week I hit that $5 threshold. It was actually $5.13. So that was contributed from my checking account into my after-tax brokerage account. Currently that account is just over $17,000. At one point I was really focusing on this one as well because I had maxed out my retirement accounts, and so I was doing additional to the after-tax brokerage account, but I haven't been contributing very much to this in the recent years either, and it's just been growing with the market kind of in the past couple of years. So I think I've contributed about $12,000 to this, and so $5,000 is gains, but that always fluctuates. It's not doing quite as well as my retirement account, and it's not tax advantaged, so I'm not really focusing too heavily on this account. And then our final contribution this week was from my husband's paycheck. He gets paid on the same weeks that I do, and his company matches 3% of his pay, so he only contributes 3% to his retirement account. And so that was $126.92, and then his employer matched that the same amount. So in total, he contributes just over $250 towards his retirement, which is pretty good. But since he doesn't contribute quite as much with work, we've been focusing on his Roth IRA. So earlier this year, we maxed out that for him because he has quite a ways to catch up on retirement because I was a lot more focused on it than he was before we got together. So, and plus my employer offers a much better match than his does. Mine was like 10.5% to his 3%. He will be in the future getting a better match. His company was bought by a larger company and they offer a better match. So starting in July, probably mid or late July, I will be reporting on what his new match amount will be. He's also switching retirement account providers. Right now he's in Fidelity, and that one is a pretty good brokerage account. He's switching to something smaller and lesser known, and I don't know that their investment options are going to be as great. So I don't think we're going to be rolling his simple IRA into his new 401k. Although we may want to do that. I'm still undecided because if we do that, then that would allow us to open up a backdoor Roth for him. Currently, he can't, well, he could do a backdoor Roth, except that he would be taxed on every conversion because he has the simple IRA. But if we roll his simple IRA into a 401k, then he would be eligible for a traditional IRA to do Roth conversions, and we wouldn't have to pay the taxes for every conversion. And that's important because currently, if we weren't maxing out our HSA and contributing our matches for the retirement accounts pre-tax, then we would be over the income threshold to be able to contribute to the Roth IRA. And so, like in the coming years, we may be over the income threshold, and the only way we would be able to contribute to a Roth is by doing a backdoor. And so it would be important to make sure he had no money in an IRA, including this simple IRA, in order to be able to do that. I think it's possible for me to do it because I don't have a simple IRA or a traditional IRA, so I could open up the backdoor Roth, but I already have the option of contributing to a Roth through my employer, and he doesn't. So I would like him to be able to access after-tax money. But that's it for our transfers this week. No manual transfers. As I said, the debts that we're working on would be my retirement account loan, but currently we're just holding that money in savings for a while. Plus, we don't really have very much to transfer this week. I think the wiggle room in our budget is about $700 because we paid most of our expensive bills earlier this month, with our mortgage and daycare being a lot more expensive than we had planned just for this first month. So there's not very much to transfer to savings, and I'm just going to hold it there, especially because we haven't funded any of our sinking funds, so none of our spending for the month is funded, but it will be after our next paychecks in 2 weeks. And so either next week or the following week, we should have more to transfer. But that's everything for us this week. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate everyone who's here, and let me know in the comments if you made any money moves this week because I would love to hear about it. Thank you for being here.